Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. We're your hosts, Dominick Dougherty and Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
Drew, man, beautiful Sunday today. No Eagles, so we're using our time productively. Let's say.
Yes, it is kind of nice having a Sunday off.
It has been nice. I did some yard work yesterday and did some stuff inside today. Wish I would have got outside because it's another one of these beautiful 60+ degree November days.
It is. It's a nice day out there.
So you're heading out of town next week, huh?
Yep. This week, heading to Colorado for a week.
A week? Wow.
Yeah, 6 days. 6 days, almost a week.
6 days, 7 nights. So, no, man, it's good to be back here trying to get things a little bit more scheduled. Got some big stuff coming up here in the next couple months, so trying to get a little bit more organized, to say the least. So, Drew, man, we got any shout-outs for us today?
We do. First is not a shout-out. It's actually you and I, and we would like to share our heartfelt condolences to the Donahue family for the loss of Cindy Donahue. Cindy was just a warm and wonderful person, and we mourn her loss along with her husband, Greg Donahue of the Ocean City School District and OCYAA fame, along with the daughters Erin Porter and Krista Mazzatelli and their entire family.
Very sad loss.
Yeah. We do have a couple shout outs. First shout out is to Ocean City High School alum Summer Rymette. Summer is a junior at Monmouth University and recently won the CAA Attacking Player of the Year award in soccer. At OCHS, Summy was a 4-year starter and is a record holder for 131 career goals, 62 goals in a season, and 6 goals in a game. So congrats to Summy. Now, we've talked about her mother before being an outstanding soccer player in high school and in college. But I think Summer's success is unrelated to that. I think Summer's success is related to me teaching her swing ball at a young age. The fact that her mom, scored a gazillion goals in high school and a gazillion goals at my alma mater, Westchester University, really has nothing to do with Summy's success. It's all me teaching her swing ball.
I'll agree with that. Genetics played no factor.
Zero.
In her success whatsoever. None.
So congrats to Summy. She's a great kid.
Yes.
Also want to congratulate Mainland Regional High School football team for winning the South Jersey Group 3 championship. Second year in a row. They will play the Central Jersey Group 3 champion Somerville at Somerville this coming Friday night. And if they're successful there, they go on to play in the Group 3 state championship against the winner of the 2 North Jersey champions who play this Friday. So
very nice.
Congrats to Mainland and good luck to Mainland.
Somerville's a cool stadium. We went up there when they played Ocean City in the second round, and it's a cool spot. A little bit, I don't know how it's considered Central Jersey. If you ask me, if you're 20 miles from Jersey. If you're 20 miles from New York City, that's North Jersey. And if you're on 287, that's North Jersey, but that's just me. But no,
that was a quirky alignment in my opinion.
Hey, but it'll be congratulations to them. Great feat. I believe last year they were Group 4, and they regrouped and went down to Group 3, but nonetheless, still champions again this season. So good for them. Speaking of champions, I got some shout outs too. My first shout out, we'll stick with the football theme, be to the members of the Ocean City High School football team that got the honor of being first team West Jersey Football League all conference selections. So you have first team West Jersey Football League all conference selections. You had linebacker Tommy Grimley, defensive tackle Anthony Gasparovic. Sorry, Anthony, if I said your name wrong. Wide receiver JP Forrester, defensive back Ryan Hendricks, and offensive lineman Clifford Dykes. So shout out to those guys for being named Dirks. Sorry, Clifford Dirks. Sorry, Clifford. I knew I should have got that right.
So all had outstanding seasons. Every one of those kids.
Yep, and that's why they got that honor. First team West Jersey Football League all conference. So good for them. Congratulations. And then honorable mentions were Luke Holmes and Joe Pancoast. So congrats, guys, on a great season and well-deserved honors.
Yep.
And then my other shout out is to the Ocean City boys and girls cross-country teams on amazing seasons for them. Both the boys and girls won the South Jersey Group 3 championships, which led them into states where the boys got second in Group 3 and the girls got third, which then allows you to go on to the Meet of Champions, where the boys took 9th and the girls took 7th. So
outstanding.
Cross country is a little bit different than football. It's a little bit easier to get a lot of people on the race course at one time, as opposed to on the football field. So when you win when you get second in the Group 3 state championships, that's all of the groups all at one time. So they're the second best Group 3. The boys were the second best Group 3 team in the whole state. The girls were the third best Group 3 team in the whole state, north, south, east, west, central, northwest, whatever division of Jersey you have now. And then when you go to the Meet of Champions, that's all groups, north, south, 1, 2, 3, 4, non-public, A, and B. So out of all the teams in all of New Jersey, any group, anywhere, the boys team was 9th and the girls team was 7th. So congrats to them. That's an amazing season for the programs that have historically been successful and been champions. So way to continue that legacy.
Fantastic. Congrats.
Yes. Good stuff.
One more? You have one more?
No, that was it. I did the football boys first, and I did the Ocean City girls second. I had another one that I forgot about probably.
Yes, boys soccer coach.
Oh, that's right. How do I forget about that one? Thanks for reminding me. Yes, congratulations to the boys head soccer coach, Andrew Boguszewski, for his Aaron
Boguszewski.
No, you know more than me. Why didn't you just do the shout out? Let me fumble around here. The guy wins 200 games in his career, which is nothing to sneeze at. And I'm here butchering it. You're like, oh yeah, no, you're butchering.
I'm enjoying it, buddy. I'm glad you took it.
Well, I am.
Congrats to. I'll take over. Congrats to Coach Bogey.
Thank you.
200 wins in a career is pretty big stuff. So congrats to Coach Bogey.
Yes.
I have some of his art hanging on my wall.
I gave some to my brother, actually, who lives out in Oregon. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. And he'll send me pictures of one of his cool beach scenes where he's got different people doing different outrageous things. He'll send me pictures from time to time of a new crazy character he finds on the beach. So, but yes, thank you for saving me. And I do apologize, Coach Bogey, for my butchering. But at least I remembered because I put it on the docket. So, anyway, today we have a couple special guests with us, taking a little bit different approach to the news lately here. I believe it was Thursday or Friday this week. Eustace Mina unveiled his plans for Icona at Wonderland, his 7.5-story hotel.
Icona in Wonderland.
I apologize again. Icona in Wonderland. His 7.5-story hotel in the footprint of what is now the closed Wonderland Pier. He does do two things that we talked about here on the podcast earlier. He keeps the Ferris wheel and he keeps the carousel.
And possibly the little kiddie boat ride.
Yes. So there are some changes. He turns the Ferris wheel so that it runs east and west as opposed to north and south. And the carousel will be located on the south side of the property. The Ferris wheel will be located on the north side of the property. He has plans
if approved, right? This is a proposal.
His proposed plans. He proposes a nice little sitting area on the boardwalk with fire pits and things like that for people to sit and relax. There's shopping. There is parking. There is parking, even though you can't see it in the drawings and the designs. There's a parking spot for every hotel room and 120 additional parking spots, and that's all located underneath the hotel and structure itself. So there is parking.
I think it's a total of 372 spots he has proposed.
So there is parking. Now, it is no... this has been met from the time he proposed this before the closing of Wonderland with an immense amount of scrutiny. Ocean City and change go together like oil and water. So, people have been, no, this is no good. This is no good. Once Wonderland closed or announced its closing, rumors and speculation ran wild over what he was going to do and how this was all going to shake out. He wanted 6 months to plan when the announcement was made in June or July. He gave
August,
it to
I
think
it was
August, right? I think he wanted to wait until the new year at least. He got the plans out about a month, 2 months earlier than that. And from what I've seen on social media, the plans have been met pretty favorably by the people out there who saw them and took the time to look at it. A lot of people are like, oh, he was glad he was saving the Ferris wheel, glad he was saving the carousel. Very few negative comments. Lots of people liked the drawings and what they saw.
We must be in different circles, Tom, because while I have seen some positive, there's still a lot of people against having a hotel on the boardwalk.
Well, maybe the algorithm's just showing me stuff because I've kind of been no stranger to saying that I was in favor of this development, even back when he proposed it on the lot adjacent lot that's Beach and Dune. So, Drew, are you still there? I got to get this guy a computer that wasn't made in 2010.
Yours did the same, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, at least we're all back now. So that's good. He was frozen. If you were watching this on YouTube, you got a very nice picture of Drew from my side. Anyway, though, I've been no stranger to saying that I was for the development of the hotel, that I liked the idea. So maybe the algorithm is just giving me things that I want to see. But needless to say, when this all came about and it came to light that Wonderland was closing, a group in particular popped up called Save Wonderland. If you go in these threads where the plans are posted, you'll see comments from their group. They have Facebook pages, they have websites, they have all kinds of they had a meeting before the Halloween parade to take a picture and in front of Wonderland and say Save Wonderland. So they're an organized group. They're out here doing their best to save Wonderland and preserve this piece of Ocean City history. So joining us today is going to be two members of the group, Bill Merritt, and Helen. Sorry, don't let me.
Struckman.
Helen Struckman. Thank you. So we'll be right back with Helen and Bill, and they're going to let us know a little bit more about what is Save Wonderland, what their ultimate goal here is, and possibly what their plan is to help save this iconic piece of Ocean City history. So we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the OCNJ Local, your podcast for everything happening here in America's greatest family resort. On with us now are two very special guests. We have Helen, is it Struckman?
Struckman. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I got it right. I remembered that. Helen Struckman from Save Wonderland, and Bill Merritt, president of Friends of Ocean City, OCNJ History and Culture. Thank you both for joining us. We're very happy to have you here and excited to hear your side of the story when so much of the other press has been about development and the changes that are coming to Wonderland. So thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Helen, if you wouldn't mind, if you can kind of give us some basic info about Save Wonderland, what the organization's stated goal or mission statement is, what your role is. Are you doing fundraising, any of those kinds of things?
So we are a pending 501c3, and we're a grassroots organization that formed really out of what we saw as a need to, I guess, get the voice of the people heard. Certainly Wonderland has been such an important part of every one of our lives. And it's not just important to people that are in Ocean City, it's important to people all over the globe. And when we, heard the news that Wonderland was closing, we really wanted to make sure that the people had a voice. And that's how it started. We haven't done any fundraising yet because we don't have our actual 501c3, firmly, we're fully recognized by the IRS yet. It's still in pending status. So I know that Friends of OCNJ History and Culture has been so wonderful with really spearheading all of that fundraising and making sure that, that there are the funds to be able to do, whatever it is that they want to do with it. For us, we wanted to make sure that, the people were heard, and also just to let our council know that we wanted to explore other options. I mean, because the main thing that was important to us is that the zoning doesn't allow for a hotel in that zone. Wonderland is in the on boardwalk zone, which from my understanding is from 6th to 14th Street. And the main thing is that allowing a hotel in that area, whether it be through rezoning, whether it be through a variance, whether it be through a redevelopment zone, it sets a precedent for the entire island. And the bottom line is it sets up a no-win scenario for the people of Ocean City, and it's also for City Council, in that if they allow that redevelopment zone, then there's nothing stopping future hotel developers from saying, well, you know what, we think that this area is in need of redevelopment, and therefore we would like to have our hotel as well. So either they allow other hotels, or if they say, no, we're not going to allow that, then that sets up the city for future lawsuits from any hotel developers that claim favoritism. So, either way, it's a no-win scenario for the city. And I really don't know that the people are fully aware of that. And I don't even know whether council is fully aware of that no matter what, this sets up that chain of events that will end up costing the city a tremendous amount of money in the future.
Excellent. Very, very well said. Bill, why don't you take a minute and tell us a little bit about Friends of OCNJ History and Culture, and you're the president of that, so and let us know what your mission is. It sounds like you guys are very, very much aligned in this.
Sure. So, thanks for having us on today. So Friends of OCNJ History and Culture was formed actually over the summer. And our purpose actually had nothing to do with Wonderland really at the beginning because it was before all the Wonderland stuff popped up. But really, we emerged out of a Facebook group that was focused on the old homes in Ocean City. There was a bunch of it that kept.
I got one.
So do I.
We were trading or posting pictures, and people were commenting. And we did one of those things that sometimes people on Facebook don't do, is we actually came out from behind our computers and went out and met the people that were posting the pictures. And we realized that we had a common interest, right, which was to raise the level of appreciation for the old homes and the history in Ocean City. It's not really a valued part of the city. I always use the example of, if you look at the visitor's guide for Ocean City, the historic preservation district is not on the visitor's guide. The recycling center is, but the historic preservation section is not. Which I actually stood in front of the historic preservation committee and said, "What's going on here?" We formed this organization with the idea of raising the appreciation level around the old homes, because there's still a lot left in the town. You see a lot being knocked down, but there's a lot left. I'm rebuilding one now on Ocean Avenue, which has been a lot of fun. With the idea being, first you build appreciation, then you build a community around the old homes, and then I think that's when preservation steps in. But it steps in because people want to do it, not because government mandates it, right? And so, we're established 501c3. We do fundraising for our own organization for the things that we do, because we do house tours, we do garden tours. We have a database of older homes that we have people can click and see pictures of their houses. And so there's a lot that we're doing. But we moved into the Wonderland fray because we had to, right? Because it clearly is a huge part of the city's history and its culture. And I agree with everything that Helen said, is that there's a lot of danger in this process of us not only losing what is the most iconic, probably amusement pier on the East Coast, could be, but you could lose the whole boardwalk if you get this ripple effect down the boardwalk. And so we're very much involved in making sure that two things happen. One is that the right vision is established for the Wonderland pier, but that the right process is used for that too, because the wrong process can lead to really, really bad results. And so we're happy to be working with the folks at Save Wonderland, a passionate group. Helen's doing a great job, and I think we're going to put forward some very interesting and compelling options for council to consider.
Awesome.
So I guess this is for you, Helen, or maybe for both. So help us understand and what is the stated goal of Save Wonderland? What's your mission statement? Mm-hmm. What would you like to see happen?
Well, the main thing is to have a thoughtful approach for considering the future of the island. I mean, Save Wonderland, it's not just about specifically the amusement park. I mean, that certainly is the focal point. It's what is easy for people to understand, but it's so much more than that. It really is about preserving the culture of the entire island. I mean, Ocean City is not just America's greatest family resort. It's also America's last family-friendly city. And we are number one in tourism because of that family-friendly identity. And the bottom line is, Wonderland is the dam that is holding back all of that future development that will absolutely destroy the entire integrity of the island. It will change the island identity overnight. And so, for us, I've got my own personal dreams and wishes for the Wonderland property, but the main thing that is absolutely crucial is that under no circumstances whatsoever can we allow a hotel in that property. Whatever goes in there must be consistent with the current zoning, which is amusement, certainly, other family-friendly attractions, restaurants, shops. that's why this particular piece of property is so important, is because of the precedent that it sets. For me personally, I would love to really have the city explore perhaps offering something else to to Mr. Mita, offering something else that would be an area that would welcome the hotel. I mean, for example, there's the Soleil property that's right next to Flanders that's already zoned as a redevelopment zone. It's prime for a hotel. It's already waiting for him. And if something were to go in at that particular property, it would not have any negative effect whatsoever on the Orne Boardwalk zone. The integrity of that Orne Boardwalk zone is everything, absolutely everything. And the city has spent a lot of money investing in other things that are for the community. For example, there's the skate park, there's the pickleball courts, there's the tennis courts. There's a lot of things that the city has done to be able to give back to the community. And I mean, they just spent $20 million on essentially a parking lot. It is absolutely absurd to me that they didn't spend, that there wasn't even a consideration of purchasing the Wonderland property and being able to revitalize it. I mean, if it was for sale for $8 million, why didn't they at least explore that? And so we haven't even really done any type of mass fundraising, nothing like that. And yet already there's been, quite a bit of money generated. And so my personal vision, my personal wish, if you will, would be that, we could find another suitable property for Mr. Mita, where number one, he'd be able to have the size hotel that he wants to have. It would be welcomed by the community. Everything would be great. And then we'd be able to have true nonprofit fundraising, certainly a combination of that, along with preservation grants, along with perhaps city funding, to be able to have something like the convention center in Cape May. Beautiful, gorgeous facility that is able to have perhaps the old rides, certainly a second floor that would have grand ballrooms, restaurants, something that would be a four-season facility that could be utilized and loved by the entire community. These are the things that aren't being explored. They haven't even been proposed by anyone else. And yet it's just been shut down and saying, no, we need a hotel, we need a hotel, we need a hotel. That's absurd. Hotels do not bring tourism. Attractions bring tourism. And so for us, we would love to have these ideas explored that actually bring back to the community. The third floor could be conference centers, things like that.
If I may interject. So the Eustace Mita is a developer and a hotelier.
Yeah.
And he owns the property. So of course he's saying hotel, right?
Oh yeah. But
you suggesting? I'm sorry. I was going to ask, are you suggesting that the city purchase the property from Mr. Mita, or is the goal of Save Wonderland to purchase the property from him?
I think it would be great if the city were able to purchase a property, perhaps along with, like I said, nonprofit funds, private funds, preservation funds. I think there's so many different options. For example, the city themselves, could own the building, and then they could actually lease space to various vendors inside. There's so many different ways that this could work. They don't have to run an amusement park. Everybody seems to think that, if the city were to buy it, they'd have to run an amusement park. Absolutely not. They can simply lease that space to, for example, Playland or Storybook Land or another venue, perhaps Steel Pier. But the fact is, this was never actually an option. This was never even brought to the public back in 2020, 2021, when Mayor Gillian and Mr. Mita went into their partnership. And here's the thing that kind of gets me, and that is that we, the public, were never told that Mayor Gillian actually sold the property to Mr. Mita. In fact, it was always presented as a partnership. And the public was told that Mr. Mita was going to be brought in as a partner to be able to reinvigorate Wonderland. That never happened. So that's some of my concerns.
So
Chief of
my
Sales.
question is, you know, as far as the public being notified of things like that, you know, this is a privately owned property.
Yep.
And, you know, does the public, does as a business, do they really have to convey what the deal was behind closed doors? You know, we all know that in the last mayoral election, the, you know, the mayor Gillian's opponent proposed, said, "Hey, this is what we got,"
Yeah.
and everybody kind of was like, "Oh, whoa, I don't know what you're talking about." And now here it is. So, like,
Yeah.
I guess my real question is, and I'll defer this over to you, Bill. Like, do they have to convey, you know, that what the partnership really was? You know, why is that so important that they should have done that?
Right. So look, I think some of the rear view mirror stuff is not helpful, right? We are where we are. And I think it's relevant only in the following way, right? If there's any continuing relationship between META and the mayor of a financial sort, that needs to be disclosed, because you can't have the administration negotiating with a developer when there is a conflict of interest sitting with the mayor. So to me, that's and I don't know that that's the case. How the deal came to be is not as important to me as where we go from here. And to me, the most important thing is, if you look at the demographics in Ocean City, it's obviously changing, right? You know, the stays for people are shortening because it's become more expensive to stay in Ocean City. We need to compete more with other venues along the Jersey Shore or other beachfront communities. And so we need, and Helen said this, and I just want to emphasize, we need to leverage your competitive edge, right? I ran a business for 20 years. And you always look to your competitive advantage. The last thing you want to be doing is coming up with a new competitive advantage. That's enormously hard. You want to go with the advantages you have. And the advantage that this town has is the family-friendly advantage. That is an enormous advantage. And there's really, to me, there's two components. There was really a couple components of that. We've lost one. Affordability was a major component of that. I think that's gone. The second component is no booze. And I think that's a strong component of the family-friendly values of the town. And we have to make sure that whatever happens here, we don't lose that. And the third piece is the board.
I would say that would be number one, Bill.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. It's the one that gets most people energized, and for a good reason, because it really does create a different atmosphere in Ocean City, and a really good atmosphere, right?
Yes, it does.
But the boardwalk it was always important. To me, it is now even more important, because you're not only going to need to attract people to come here for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, or maybe longer. You need to attract day trippers to the Ocean City beach, right? Just like you attract them to Hershey Park or Dutch Wonderland, or, you know, whatever park you want to think of. So that boardwalk needs to be top notch. It needs to be top notch. So, and luckily, it already is a really good boardwalk. And again, go back to what I said. You want to make your competitive advantage better. So when I look at what's going on with Wonderland, I go, okay, what we want to get out of this is an even better boardwalk. And that's going to be a challenge, because notwithstanding the fact that it didn't have the greatest investment over the last couple of years, Wonderland still served an incredible purpose. It was the reason we call it was the reason people turned left. It's either left off the Parkway or left off 9th Street, because that's where your kids were going. And you walked past every shop, every t-shirt shop, every pizza shop, every coffee shop. And I did it 3 nights a week. And I don't even have kids. I have kids. They're in college. They, you know, I rarely see them, right? But they worked the boards for years. My sons worked the boards for years, and they would tell you this, is that's why those small stores are successful. It's the onesie twosie purchases that happen all night long, because people are on their way up to Wonderland and on their way back. So first, the traffic it generated. Second, It was a place for kids. Yes, there are other places on the boardwalk where kids can go, but I tell you, that was where the kids felt the most safe. It was their environment. And and third, there was this almost whimsical nature to Wonderland, right? It was a large structure, but it kind of had this light feeling to it. You need to, for the Ocean City Boardwalk to be better than it was before, you need to make sure you bring back all of those components and more. And so that's the challenge that we have. And so what our organization is, we have some ideas on how you could do that. We don't presume to be boardwalk planners. We've got a lot of smart people in our organization, and we've reached out to architectural firms and financiers and a bunch of other people to get information. But we, just like Helen said, there needs to be a conversation, but the conversation is not around building a hotel. You don't need hotels if you don't have attractions. You need hotels if you have great attractions. And so that's where the focus needs to be, is taking the situation, which is very unfortunate, and go back to where we started this question. In some ways, I don't care how we got here. We're here. And let's take rear view mirror off and just look forward.
Well, Bill, I commend that view. That was a very great answer to that question.
I agree with that. Yeah,
because we are here. As far as the visions go, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you got to replace this property with something that's going to be better than what it was. Why, in a sense, do we feel that this beautiful luxury hotel that the drawings show isn't necessarily the right thing for that property?
Yeah, I'll take this one, and then okay. We'll alternate as to who goes first and the other person.
You take this one, Bill.
So a couple reasons, right? And first is, resorts by their nature don't generate traffic. Resorts capture people. That's how they make money. Think about it. They make money because you eat there, sleep there, swim there, drink there. You do everything there because
whoa, don't drink here. Hey.
Well, we'll come back to that, but we'll leave that off to the side, because that's a third rail item that I don't want to distract this conversation, right? So resorts, that's what resorts do. So I'll give you an example. My brother goes to the Icona Resort in Avalon every year. He's been doing it for the last 10 years. He never leaves. He goes there, checks into his room, and never leaves the resort, ever. And I know why, because, and it's not that he's lazy, he's energetic like I am, but that's the design of a resort. So if you think about it, is the difference between that and Wonderland. They could not be more different. Wonderland is generated traffic. It pushed people up and down the boardwalk. It drew people up the boardwalk. Icona is going to capture them and keep them. So that's the first problem with just a resort. And perfect another example, Atlantic City. Do you think those resorts did anything for the boardwalk? No, they did nothing. The pizza shop next to the casino fails because no one ever leaves, right? Second is that it's not a place for kids. Go back to what you said before. We got to replace the things that Wonderland is served, right? Serve the kids. This is not a place for kids. It's a place for adults. And so that's a huge loss in terms of the family-friendly focus of Ocean City, right? The third thing is, it is just way too big. Way too big. I don't know if you guys have taken a ride up, I'm sure you have because you're Ocean City guys, Plaza Place. Go up Plaza Place, see the beautiful homes on Plaza Place. I mean, it's an unbelievably well-preserved community, and it's achieved that without needing preservation restrictions. It does it because the community has managed to do it on its own. That neighborhood will be crushed by this. So it's completely out of place, the structure. And then the last piece as to why actually my organization objects to it is the use of redevelopment as the process by which they want to get approved, right? So redevelopment is a statutory process intended to give municipalities the ability to deal with blight. And the reason you needed a tool like redevelopment is because blight is really hard to remove sometimes. It's entrenched. And so it gave the towns these incredible tools to remove blight. So what did it do? It removed any of the zoning and planning restrictions as to the redevelopment zone, removed any issues or any constraints around historic preservation. It said, sorry, all of that's going to have to stand back because we need to do something with this section of the town. And it makes sense when you're dealing with blight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderland is not blight. If it's blight, it's only because of what happened in the last month there with this destruction of the exterior of that building. So for me, it is the absolute wrong process. And I can't understate this enough. People should be terrified of the redevelopment process, because here's why. And Helen always said one piece, but there's another piece. The first piece is, and this has already been indicated, 3 or 4 more other property owners on the boardwalk are going to raise their hand. They're going to want to do this, right? So then it rips down the boardwalk. Second, once you designate something as a redevelopment zone, everything moves into the dark. It's a negotiation between the developer and the city with none of the guardrails of zoning, planning, historic commission. And I'll put it in here, drinking. Mm-hmm. It can be whatever they want. We should be terrified of that. We should be terrified of that because it's going to, and there are no time frames in which people get to consider these things. Once redevelopment is approved and it goes into that negotiation process, one day there's just a city council vote. We could have 3 days notice. It's done. This is a extraordinarily bad process. And it's why, and I'm sure you guys are aware of this, in Cape May, Mita tried the same thing. He tried to use redevelopment to get rid of the beach theater and put up his whatever down there. Same kind of thing. He goes back and forth between Ocean City and Cape May, depending upon which one just told him no. And Cape May said no. And they said it for a really simple reason. They said, if you want to build something, meet the code, meet the zoning codes, meet the planning codes, meet the historic preservation codes. You don't get to go around them. And he walked away. So this town would be crazy to go down a redevelopment path. And the people of this town should be enraged if that's what they do.
Great answer, Bill.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where
So when
where to go.
Dom and I
might drop that one.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Dom and I talked about this last week, that the Mr. Mita going the redevelopment, or asking to go the redevelopment route, let's be clear about that, is pretty slick.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty slick. It does give council some overview, but you're right. It removes all of the normal processes of any development.
Right. Yeah. The one silver lining in it, and I'd say this by no means justifies it, but at least it's something that I would will utilize if we have to, put it that way, is there's a very strict definition of what meets redevelopment, and for a reason, right? And it makes complete sense. If you think about the power of the redevelopment tools, they're like nuclear weapons, right? You don't want them to be deployed anywhere, anytime. They really need to be constrained in where they get deployed. And there was a Supreme Court case from April of 2024 that really tightened up those rules because they were being misused because they saw this as an avenue to kind of just do whatever they wanted to do without needing to have a lot of public input. And among the things that you need to do now is show a very close connection between, what you're claiming to be blight and public harm. And to me, that would be almost, I don't even know how they would do that here. So while it's the absolute wrong process, and I think people should be really, really afraid if they go down this path. The legal challenge that can be brought is very strong. And so, we've got a backstop. We don't want to have to use it, but we will if we have to.
So, again, very well said. And thank you for the information. It's one of the things I don't think a lot of people know about. Helen, I want to kind of direct this question to you, and then maybe we'll start to wrap up after this question just for time. All this has been great. It's been awesome. When I hear Save Wonderland, I think, saving the structure, keeping it as it is, rides, amusements, all that stuff. When I think
saving all the rides, right?
That's what I envision. And I think that's what a lot of other people think too when they hear Save Wonderland. When you first started talking, though, you had a lot of different things. You hinted at a lot of different visions that you had. You're not necessarily saying, hey, let's keep this the way it is. Let's do something possibly bigger and better, like Bill was saying. So just kind of hint a little bit more about what that is and some of the things you would like to bring into the discussion as to what to do with that property.
So as far as the whole concept of Save Wonderland, and we have put this on our Facebook page, is that Wonderland is not just the pier. Wonderland is the idea of the culture of Ocean City. I mean, that's what this really is about, is that, Wonderland is Ocean City, or Ocean City is Wonderland. It's Wonderland for the entire country because there's no other place like it. There's no other place that I know of where, kids can still ride their bikes, unattended. Where, people can feel really comfortable and safe walking their dogs in the middle of the night, where, total strangers are just, riding up and down the streets, just waving at total strangers on their porches. I mean, Wonderland.
Safe and clean, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's what surveys have shown. People love about Ocean City is safe and clean.
Yeah, it's a place of magic. And I think that, Wonderland happens to be the focal point of that magic, especially for my generation. I'm a Gen Xer, and, most of us, grew up, going to Wonderland. They have their memories of when they were children, and they bring their children, they bring their grandchildren there. And so, certainly it's that place, but it's also the symbol of the magic that people feel coming to Ocean City. I mean, people come from all over the country. I've got family that they come all the way from Michigan to be able to come to Ocean City. They could go to Italy, they could go to Europe, but they come to Ocean City specifically for that magic. And so Wonderland is that magic. That's what brings people back. It's that nostalgia. It's why we are the #1 tourist destination. And so I want to make sure that's really, really clear. It's not that we want to keep an old, warehouse looking building. We want to keep all the rides. We want to keep everything exactly as it is. No, that wouldn't be realistic. What would be much, much better, like Bill has been saying, is that we have an opportunity to really think about what is going to be the future of this island. What is going to be the thing that holds on to some of that nostalgia, that certainly still satisfies the 3 generations of people that have been coming, but also will keep that going, for multiple generations in the future. Certainly, there's been a lot of underutilization by the whole city, certainly of an area that should be used year round. I mean, Cape May does a beautiful job of this, of really being able to capture that tourism and keep people excited and keep people coming to the whole island all year round. And Wonderland has just not been utilized for that at all. There are so many opportunities.
They closed the ice rink.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And
For my time.
the building itself, just it's a warehouse. I think that there's certainly a place for the old rides. Absolutely, I mean the carousel, hands down. The boats, the fire engines, all of those things that are really, really important for those Gen Xers. But then also other year-round ways to be able to utilize that, and not just as amusements, but as a multifunctional facility. I think I was talking to Bill about the fact that we are a Methodist island. We were founded by Methodist ministers, and yet we have no place that any of those Methodist ministers are able to go on retreat. We have no place on the island that any of them are able to do their continuing ed. They have to go to either Atlantic City or they go to Wildwood. So why in the world don't we have multiple options for conferences, for festivals, for all sorts of year-round activity that can bring money, bring tourism, bring people all around the country? I mean, I'm a licensed therapist, and so I need to do continuing ed every 2 years. And, I would love to be able to do my continuing ed in Ocean City. I'm showing that a lot of therapists around the country would love to be able to do continuing ed in Ocean City. Any drug and alcohol therapists, especially, having this as a dry town makes that a wonderful opportunity for for year-round activities, and having the focal point of certainly a lot of the amusements, but not all, and having other things in that particular location. But the key here is having all of those items be consistent with the zoning. So consistent with the zoning, and as Bill said, something that is going to really bring people to that end of the boardwalk, and have that be the starting point where they go from the beginning of the boardwalk all the way down to Jilly's, all the way down to the end. There needs to be that holding point at each end. Without Wonderland, that's not going to be there, or without something that is is zoning consistent, that's not going to be there.
And I'll just add one thing. I know you guys want to wrap it up, but we have a contest out ongoing actually for to create for ideas on how to we called it Reimagine Wonderland, and it's funny. Everyone, ideas that were all very different, fantastic ideas as well, and no one simply wanted to reopen the existing doors. They wanted to do something new, and particularly when the ideas were coming in from different people of different generations, we were able to kind of take a bunch of these ideas, and you'll see the output of that on this coming on the 30th. I think it's fantastic as it's just an initial thought piece. Like, look what you could do with this. That would be, as Helen said, what you're retaining is the Wonderland magic. That's what you're retaining, right? You're replacing the functions that it served. For the kids, it's the draw, it's the beacon, but you're doing it in just a remarkable new way. And you can, it's one of these situations where if you want to be like, a very positive person, you go, hey, let's make something of this moment. Let's not fight, but let's as a town, let's make something of this moment. And we can, but they've got to engage the community. And there's certain people on council that actually I think have done a great job of engaging the community. Others not so much, but that's okay. But we need to get everybody involved in charting a better course for the island. And look, we've been given the opportunity.
Well, let's hope we've been given the opportunity.
Yeah,
I mean, you're Helen, what you spoke of, and Bill, you very articulate in you presenting the concept and the idea of moving forward. And I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. What's standing in our way right now is a hotelier who owns that piece of property, right?
Well, we still have our zoning, though. That's what's important here, is that our council has a duty to represent us, and a council has a duty to follow the law, and a council has a duty to look at the future repercussions, and especially what it's going to cost this city if they do not follow the law, specifically with if they decide to do the rezoning idea with redevelopment zone, that will bring hotels on the boardwalk. Hotels come on the boardwalk, it will kill our tourism. They need to do a cost benefit analysis and see, okay, what's going to happen when those families stop coming. So either that happens where suddenly it's all hotels, or they then get sued by other developers. We have an opportunity right now because the law is on our side. Our zoning is written in such a way that they cannot do that. All we need is our council members to fully understand the law and also to understand the opportunity right now to save this island a lot of heartache and a lot of headache and a lot of financial difficulties if they decide to go through with this redevelopment zone. And once Mr. Mita has a clear voice from them saying that, you know what, sorry, you could develop it utilizing the current zoning, then he might decide that this isn't a project worth his while. He might decide to, sell it back to the city, sell it to a nonprofit, or he might decide to do something that is actually consistent with the zoning. But the bottom line is we cannot allow him to have these exceptions. And it's our council members' duty to give him a very, very clear indication that they're not going to allow this hotel. Not now, not ever.
Well said. Now, one last item for me is that this is secondhand, but it's my understanding that he plans to do something on the boardwalk. Mm-hmm. If it's not a hotel, then it would be some sort of retail building that he would lease out. He wouldn't run the retail, mm-hmm. but he would lease out. That would be on the boardwalk side, and on the back side, some sort of residential development, condos or duplexes.
Still not allowed. Still not allowed. It's still considered on boardwalk zone. So even if they try to split it up, it's still on boardwalk zone. So they still have to give an exception for that. And this is where, again, our council, our elected officials have a duty to follow the law and recognize what that would set in place. Now, would I be happy if he puts retail shops? Not particularly, but he's still following the law. Or he can decide, again, give it back to the community, sell it back to the community. That would be the idea. He has an opportunity to be the hero here. And I truly want to give him the benefit of the doubt that Mr. Mita, he's a devout Catholic, he's a family man. I truly want to believe in my heart that he does not know that he could literally be the man that brings about the death of Ocean City. I don't think that he would want that. I don't think that he would want to know that this city changed because of him. But that's what's at risk here. And I think that truly knowing that he might decide to do something else. And I've looked at the parcels that the city owns. The city owns a lot of property. And I think that it would be very, very possible to have some sort of a land swap where he could have a different piece that the city would be welcoming, that wouldn't affect on boardwalk zone, wouldn't affect the city in a negative way at all, and would actually give him more property to work with. He'd be happy, the city would be happy, the people would be happy. I think there's a lot of opportunities here, but I don't know that people have been looking at it creatively yet. Not yet.
Right. And I think the creativity starts once they give him a hard no.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Once he knows absolutely emphatically that no, this is not going to happen, that's when they start exploring other options.
So, not to honestly, this is
it's okay. Joe's advocate is good.
No, there's so many questions that you've raised here in my thinking, and I've been no lie, and truth be told, totally transparent. I've been totally for this hotel, even back when he proposed it on the adjacent lot. Mm-hmm. Would you still be opposed to the hotel at the adjacent lot if they did that land switch and put the hotel there, and then redeveloped Wonderland to keep its magic and have that property, like you said, would you still be opposed to it if we did that land switch? Just
So,
kind of.
so that particular property is problematic because of the high school and because of the parking.
Well, it's also
It's not
problematic
in
because of the
zoning.
tabernacle.
It's problematic because it's beach and dune.
Right. It's
Yeah.
it's considered sacred ground, right? It's because it's the line from the tabernacle to the sea. So I think there's a separate issue, but you know,
Okay.
look, I think that the opportunity here is for neither side, right? City to dig in, right? I don't think anybody gets anything from you. So, you know, is there opportunity to flex some things so that with the ultimate goal always being I think we always got to have the same North Star. The boardwalk has to be better.
Yeah.
I think if you maintain that as your North Star, so
And
then
be protected.
right, then, you know, if there was a swap with the Soleil property and he were to build his resort at the Soleil property, okay, well, maybe that's it. If you already have hotel development there, you have we essentially have a concentrated hotel section. Okay, maybe that's okay. You know, if there was other places where you could flex that, you know, yourself a little bit, again, but always maintaining the same goal. This has got to be a absolute world-class boardwalk, and there's. I don't know if you guys ever use. It's a funny thing. I use it all the time when I'm bored. Is Chat GPT, right? Just to talk to it, right? So I did this. I did this the other night. I just thought it was funny. I said, "Give me the elements of a world-class boardwalk."
Mm-hmm.
It spit out an unbelievable answer. And you know what? The one thing that was not on the list, hotel. Because and if you go back, it's very logical, right? It doesn't create foot traffic. Or if you do have hotels, it's kind of their setback, or they're things like the Harris House. I love the Harris House, is because the nature of those places is it's great to sleep in. You know, they're really nice. They're great places, but they push you onto the boards. That's where you want to go, right? So it's not to say that you can't have some level of development up there. It's just you have to. It always got to come back to that same question: is this making my boardwalk better? Is this going to, you know, and I think if you can answer that question, yes, honestly, okay, then I think it's something. And, you know, so I think that's, to me, you know, if you asked earlier, what's the mission of the organization? So we have a broader mission around the island, but with respect to Wonderland, it's really simple. We want the boardwalk to be better.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think that's a great answer and probably a great place to wrap up.
Yeah,
I think that's something we can all agree on.
100%. That's for you, Katie Grimm. 100%. She'll know. She calls me out for saying that all the time. Anyway, you mentioned that you had a contest to present ideas to Wonderland. How would people go about entering that contest?
So you send I think it's Save Wonderland Contest at gmail.com. We'll send you there's a flyer that we have along. They just send us ideas in. And it's really ideas along a couple of vectors. Like, so it could be things like a redesign of Wonderland. So we have a couple of those, which is all different visions for Wonderland. We had a couple that were actually they were small ideas, but great ideas, like how to generate funds for Wonderland. I thought a very unique approach. I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. So the contest runs through November 30th. We're going to give out $3,000 in prizes. So people should shoot stuff in, can win some money.
Yeah, definitely share that with us. You said now November 30th, you have an event that will be taking place. Where is that? Just give us little details. So if people listen and they want to come get involved and see how they can help, let us know and we can share that as well too.
Sure. So it's at the Tabernacle Baptist Church, which is on West and 8th. That's right. And it's going to be myself, Helen. We've got other speakers that are going to be there as well. And it's really, I'd say, two things that we're going to cover in, or maybe three. Right? One is kind of just level set. Where are we with the city? And that means, like, where's Ocean City today? Like, what do we need? What does the city need, right? And the next is, how does what Eustace Mead is proposing, how does it compare? to that, right? And then last is our idea in terms, and we think our idea is better than what he's put on it. So,
Well, we'll save that one for the meeting to get leave the cliffhanger for people, and that's so that's
yeah. So and it's
Saturday.
11 o'clock in the morning. It's on November 30th, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving
at the Tabernacle on
No, not the Tabernacle.
Tabernacle
Baptist Church.
Yeah, it's on
Tabernacle
West
on the corner of 8th and West. That's right down the
Plus
street.
mapping.
Right down the street from my old home in Ocean City. So I think my son has a hockey game then, but I'll do my best to make it down there and introduce myself in person.
Yeah, and we are zooming it, so if you ended up being at a hockey game and you want to multitask, you can do it.
No. Well, Bill, Helen, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for shedding a much brighter light on your organizations, what your goals are, and what your real focus is here. With your efforts, much needed and much appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys.
And thanks for having us on, and thanks for the conversation. It was great.
Yeah, our pleasure. We're gonna wrap things up. For everyone here at the OCNJ local, I'm Dominick Dougherty, and that's Drew Fasy.
And we are your local guys.
Why are you laughing at me?
You almost butchered your own name, Dom. Jeez.
All right, very good. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. And how can we get the tape?